In the bottom left, in the red, teamless for the moment. Someone sign this man. In the red, it's Coffee.
And his opponent in the top right-hand side, playing for Team Gosu, it's MeomaikA, former Oceanic champion.
And again, it makes
Who
sense.
do you favor here? Who do you favor?
Oh, Coffee. By a mile.
Coffee? I think he's better, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He made it to the finals last season. He didn't beat Oliveira, but he looked competitive against Oliveira.
Yeah.
So it was good. And I mean, Oliveira, quite frankly, spanked Mio. I don't know that that's where we're going to go necessarily, but like Oliveira beat down Mio pretty hard. That being said, Cats, these two players, they've only played each other once before. It was last season in the Swiss stage. It was last season. Yeah, it was in the Swiss stage. It was a 2-0 for Coffee. But when you're playing a player like Mio and you don't have a lot of history against him, well, he can throw some things. I know we said that last series. Now we say this a lot, but Mio is absolutely one of those players that can do some really weird stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is that within his weirdness, he can be somewhat predictable. Like pull first is something that he goes so very often. For example, I'm surprised that we haven't seen a scout on the side of Coffee, but look at that. He drops the command center on the high ground anyway. So very much adapting to his opponent. If he was the underdog going up against a player that he knows is more macro oriented or just doesn't know that is very likely to go for a pull first, I guarantee that CC goes down on the low ground, right? Because otherwise it's a little bit of a disadvantage that he's taken for himself. But instead of the SCV scout, it works out. So the links of MeomaikA as he sees the Reaper move out are likely to try to sneak out and cross, though he hasn't.
And not yet.
Yeah, he didn't even make him. Wow.
Just pull first safe, and then when you see that nothing's... I mean, I would think that this would be a trigger to build a bunch of links. You check the natural, you see there's nothing building. But even still, Reaper into the main base right now. 19 drones just sitting there, wanting to mine elsewhere, but can't for the moment. And this Queen playing back and forth. So this was pull first safety, and the Reaper still gets more damage done than a Reaper normally does. That doesn't feel great, Cats.
Yeah, I mean, he did skip all the links, so, normally you would make like 4, maybe 6, and at this point he doesn't need to make any of those because of the Queen, but the Reaper does get into the main again, I believe, so forcing a Spore Crawler. Oh, that drone is trapped by the Queen! Nowhere to click there, unfortunately. The Reaper likely to get out as well, so not a great start for MeomaikA at all.
Yeah, just absolutely ruined by their own mother there. It does not feel bad for the drone. But now we got Hellions on the map, so even more map pressure. And the one thing we do have to say, because the Reaper was in the main base getting a drone, that's a big deal. MeomaikA is doing a solid job about getting those early creep tumors out, which creep spread, getting your early tumors matters so much because it starts to grow, not quite exponentially, but it grows in a significant fashion from there because each queen drops a tumor and you already have the existing ones and it goes and expands quite quickly. So getting those out early is a really big deal for MeomaikA despite that pressure. And honestly, losing one drone, it's not great, but it's more mental damage than anything else. One drone is going to hurt you, but it's not going to end the game. I like this from Coffee. Shutting down the Overlords on the map with just this couple Marines in the medevac very early on. It's pretty cool. And there's Hellbats behind this, Cats.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely piles up, right? Like, this is already 150 resources lost very early on, plus the fact that he went for that earlier pull, and now likely to lose a Queen as well. Hellbats are on the field against predominantly just Links and Queens. This is not a good position for MeomaikA at all. Very likely to lose the game right here, right now. Beautiful job here from Coffee, basically abusing his opponent's SimCity here as MeomaikA gives him extra chokes via the Evo chamber, and yeah, I mean, he's pretty dead. It looks like it's very, very difficult to come back from a position like this. He was already behind, and there is no real response. So MeomaikA is gonna tap out at Coffee with an easy Game 1 victory.
That was just a little disgusting, Cats. I like that too because I think Coffee was playing the player, not necessarily the matchup. He built his command center on the high ground. Okay, fine, sure, play safe against a cheesy Zerg. And then you know that Mio is probably going to do some 2-base lair shenanigans. And if you go for that, you cut queen count a little bit. Certainly going pull first, your queen count's a little weird. And you're going to cut Lings because you're just really trying to hit that drone count as quick as possible to get yourself to what you need to get yourself to where you need to go. And when that happens, well, a bunch of Hellbats in your face. That's pretty bad for the Zerg. On top of that, that overload that went down supply blocked Meo for quite a while. So even when he saw the army moving across the map, there was nothing he could do about it. And that just leads very quickly to a 1-0 Coffee lead. And that seems like a really solid way to play against Meo in general. If he's going to do stuff like that, if that's how he wants to play, I don't see what really stops Coffee from just doing that over again and over again and forcing Meo to change.
Yeah, especially because we know MeomaikA is not the type of player to go for roaches, for example, which is the hardest counter that you can get to the Hellbats. And otherwise, you have to read into this build order. You're already kind of behind from the damage you've taken early on and the position that you put yourself in by going for that pull first. So very difficult to make the decision to make a spine. You would basically have to scout the armory or just read your opponent so well that you know it's a Hellbat timing. And then you would have to drop a spine as soon as they start moving out if you're going to have any chance of holding, because Lings and low queen counts are just not going to cut it.
No, certainly not. But we're going to get into game 2 fairly quickly here, cats. It's going to be, well, actually, this should be MeomaikA's map pick. And we talked about this in the first series about how, well, the vetoes are very, very different. But in this game, we're not going to see anything particularly wild. It's going to be side delta for map 2. Rather said, of course, Coffee's lone ban in this first stage. So from that perspective, nothing. Site Delta is maybe a slightly less common map, but nothing particularly wild.
Yeah, nothing particularly wild. I actually joined the wrong lobby of Mapu. It was a pretty good lobby, I gotta say. But yeah, it's Coffee versus MeomaikA. I wonder what they're doing there.
I don't know. I to my knowledge, I don't have any other StarCraft events happening right now. But
no, there is.
What's a? Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what is the other event? Do you know?
Harrisburg University.
Ah, yes.
StarCraft tournament.
Yeah. Oh, that's a stacked lobby.
That's a stacked lobby that I just joined. Yeah. It's like, this is not Coffee and MeomaikA.
Was it one of the Maru games or?
Maru DRG, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
But of course, this is also gonna be. It's a very different TVZ coming out this time.
You should have asked.
Well, no, like, this is cool too, but it's just a very different. I mean, we know Mario's gonna play macro. He's gonna play late game, and Mio's like, hold my beer. We got Hydras. We got early aggression. We got Nidus play. Very different style.
Indeed, and yeah, I'm gonna Google MeomaikA versus Maru right now, because I feel like MeomaikA has beaten Maru before, so we're on the right pace.
Well,
I think it's 2 ultimates or something.
The man who may or may not have beaten Maru in a game may or may not have 2-0'd him, actually, as we wait Cat to figure that one out.
Yeah, it's true,
in the blue, down a game, it's Meo.
Undefeated against Maru. And on bottom right-hand side, his opponent, it's Coffee. Yeah, MeomaikA's undefeated. 2-0 against Maru, and yet Aligula gives him a 0.7% chance to win again.
The thing that surprises me, actually, is that Aligula gives Meo like a 24% chance. In a 0, I mean, 1-0 now, the chance is going to change. But it gives Meo a 24% chance to win this series.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think that's
high, or
that feels high to me, honestly. I love Meo. I think he's great. I think Coffee is... I'd put Meo like the 15% range, if that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, especially now that he's lost the first game. And yeah, the thing is, so much of MeomaikA's power is, in his ability to confuse his opponent and his ability to be unpredictable to some degree. But in this type of matches, I feel like he loses a little bit of steam, because if you prepare for Meo, like very clearly Coffee did, it's kind of difficult for Meo to come up with something completely new, right? Because when you're developing a playstyle on your own, like the Hydra shenanigans that he likes to do, then you're kind of like going away from the norm. You're going away from the hive mind in some sense, and that takes a lot of time to perfect and to do it as best as you can, right? Especially again when you don't have anyone to copy, because you're kind of like leading the way on those fronts. So it's very difficult to just be like, oh, let me just play standard or play a different style that I'm not as familiar with.
So Mio's not the hive mind. He doesn't have that many people. He's just the lair mind. Is that
Something of the
there's
like.
like the hatch mind, maybe.
Yeah. He's an explorer for sure.
There we go. Now, Coffee doing something a little bit different in this game, number 2. You, of course, have that high ground ramp. So it's a little easier to keep the command center, but there's no Reaper early on. It's going to be a Marine expand into the factory behind this. And because that... I'm sorry. Could have sworn there was no Reaper. There is a Reaper on the other side, and he gets a couple lings. And behind this, with the Marine popping out, just keeps you safe. Do we see the same build out of Coffee in game 2? It's... The one difference right now is that, yeah, there's a command center. It's on the low ground this time. It's not going to get punished as hard. And with the factory on the way, Cats, again, do we see Hellbats again? Is that the way you handle Meo?
I mean, yeah, if Mio's gonna do the same thing, it's definitely possible. The attacking into the natural is gonna be a little bit harder this time around because of the ramp you mentioned. So, and also there's adaptations, right? If Mio kind of smells like this could be coming, that's exactly what he should be scouting for. That's where his mind should partially be at. And then if you do see it coming, you can just drop one single spine that's gonna defend your natural at the very least. So I don't think that we'll see the same exact thing from Coffee, but it's certainly not impossible. And again, against Mio, if you know your opponent's guaranteed not to make roaches, if you know your opponent's not going to be making that many queens and going into that potentially faster lure for Hydras or something like that, then Hellbats are a great choice. And he actually is going for it. There is an armory out now.
Yeah, and I mean, Roachborn's done. More lings on the map than there were previously.
Okay.
And importantly here, the Overlords are not easily snipeable. I mean, there's one of them, but Mio, he doesn't have another Overlord on the way. Once again, he's going to get supply blocked here, but he's got 9 roaches, 10 roaches on the way. His defense, actually, Cats, this is not shaping up like a defense anymore. This is starting to look like an attack. More Overlords on the way as well. And regardless of what it is, just a bunch of Hellions, just a bunch of Hellbats against a large number of roaches. Well,
oh no,
you can't lose lings like that though. And he will back out, loses 4 of them. Roaches and Hellions and Hellbats against a bunch of roaches, Cats. They don't handle things all that well.
Yeah, I mean, loses all of the links for free. And the roaches, I don't think that they have been spotted by the medevac. It's hard to tell now. The Hellions are going to see them for sure, so they're going to tuck themselves back in. The medevac tries to retreat as soon as possible. Every man counts right now. The extra little bit of Marines are going to help a lot, as now Coffee tries to hold the ramp to get the first attack off as MeomaikA approaches, but he does with just the one roach, and that roach can be morphed into a Ravager. Ideally, MeomaikA doesn't have the gas at the moment. He's going to continue to push on forward. The medevac is going to help healing the Hellbats as well. And now with the corrosive piles, he's going to be dislodged from the ramp. But is this going to be enough for MeomaikA? I mean, if he hadn't lost all of those links, right now they would start flooding in, and he would be in a pretty good position, as now the rest of the links, actually reinforcements, do start flooding in, so he will be able to push on through. However, there's a Banshee that's going to look to take care of the Ravagers first, and that's a great choice.
Yeah, this took too long, Cats. Unfortunately, in the Roaches, they just ran pell-mell into all the Hellbats, all splashing at once, and Roaches, Ravagers, they do pretty good against Hellbats, but when you have 5 Hellbats in a choke on the top of a ramp, I mean, the Roaches just melted. And not a single SCV has gone down. I liked the idea of what MeomaikA was going for. I really, hey, a bunch of roaches, lings, punishing a Hellbat play makes sense. He doesn't get enough done. Nearly enough done, and now Banshees are done. Cloak is done. There's a lot of damage potential on the map, and MeomaikA, he's already down workers. This run by is not going to work either. There are Hellions, Hellbats there. I hate to say it, Cats, but Mio's looking kind of dead in game 2 as well.
No, for sure. This game's over. And I mean, conceptually, I don't disagree. I like it, right? It was a good idea. It was kind of banking on his opponent doing what his opponent did. It just didn't work out. Like a little bit of a sloppy execution. Good reactions from Coffee. I would say that the ideal scenario here, if you were really anticipating kind of like the same opening from Coffee, which is not, difficult to do because you just lost to it. So again, it should be what's fresh in your mind. Then you just probably make some defensive roaches, right? Like you just make like 5 defensive roaches. If you see him moving out, you add a couple more, and then you're perfectly safe, and then you can play from an advantage economically. But instead, he goes for the all-in, takes it to the other side of the map. Roaches can be pretty slow to move, and yeah, I mean this is just impossible. We're just waiting for the GG basically.
Yeah, and that's starting to feel really bad. If you're Mio and you have. You're right, Cats. It could have been a little bit more perfect, obviously, but wait for the move out, whatever. If you have what technically should have been a really good opening against what your opponent's doing, like you really should put yourself in a solid position. And instead of punishing, you just put yourself further behind. If you're Meo and you're trying to plot a course through this series, you had the build that was supposed to win, and instead you lose off of it. It starts to feel really bad to figure out how you're going to win this series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you definitely had the right units, right? Maybe again the execution a little bit off, the all-in itself a little bit risky, but yeah, I perfectly handled as well from Coffee, so we have to give him credit there. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a 2-0 to start. It's not where you want to be if you're Meo.
I mean, Cats, can I sing you the Song of Hydras? Is that enough? Are Meo's Hydras enough to, well, actually with Hellion still on the map, they can dive on top of the Hydras, but I mean, at least the single Hydra. But the Song of the Hydra, is it enough, Cats? The Hydras, they don't sing as we that song. Coffee, 2-0.
Yeah, not even going to participate. The Hydra wanted nothing to do with that game.
Yeah. Well, that's a 2-0 now, and we go back to, well, we're now going to go back to MeomaikA's server pick, which means it is Coffee's map pick. And what do we got to try now? We've tried two things. They have really not worked. Does Meo try a macro game?
No. No chance. No chance, Jose. I mean, that's just, I don't know if it's even in his arsenal, but if it is, he's not going to execute as well as, you know, as a player that goes macro regularly would. So Coffee, again, very, very experienced. Like, and to be as good as Coffee is, to be a contender for the region, to make it to the finals and play against the best in the world, you know, like, you have to be pretty solid, pretty well-rounded. Like, it's usually there's a place for cheese and a place for this kind of like erratic play styles, but it doesn't usually translate into the highest tier of play in the highest echelon. Because if you're one-dimensional like that, then it's not just that the strategies aren't as good or as refined or, you know, as perfect. It's also that your opponent can expect you to do that and they can play to it, right? Like if you're playing Bly, if you're playing MeomaikA, you can do things like play extra safe because you know that they're weak should it come to the mid game, to the later stages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. But now, you know, we move on to a new map. We get to try once again, and again, I'm not. This is this is not the worst matchup that MeomaikA could have gotten, right? That would be Oliveira, but a cheesy player like Meo going up against a very strong macro player, and certainly a strong macro Terran, which just because of how the races work, it's harder to all in a Terran than it is a Protoss. It's harder to all in a Terran than it is a Zerg. So, second best Terran in the region, MeomaikA running into him, lower bracket round one. It's not like
tough.
It's on top of Coffee just probably being a better player, MeomaikA being weaker. It's just a bad stylistic matchup.
Yeah, completely agreed. Hecate, you were getting some DMs?
I was getting people tweeting at me directly, not even DMs, just, well, on side saying it's actually Hecate. And I'm sorry. The goddess of magic. Her name is Hecate, and we're going to get in to game 3.
Wait, is Hecate or Hecate?
Well, the bottom left in the red on Hecate, it's Coffee.
And on the top right-hand side of Hecate, it is MeomaikA.
But yeah, I got someone, by the way, not the map maker, not the guy that made the map, tweeted me and Zombie Grub and Fear Dragon and Steadfast, maybe I forget one other person, saying, hey, stop this madness. It's Hecate. Not goddess, it's like, no. The turn Hecate, the Greek goddess of magic and the night, I think, and some other things. And map makers, they love their Greek myths naming things after them. Unless it's Maris, and then she goes after heavy metal. But, no, it's Hecate. Is this a hill worth dying on? Probably not. But there are hills on the map, Cats, and therefore I could die on them.
Are there hills on the map? I guess so, yeah.
There are valleys.
I like the bridge. That's true. That much is true. It's a wooden bridge that was patched by land. I don't know how they did that. Like, it's like terraforming a wooden bridge, but If it works, it works. Seems like it would apply enough pressure that maybe it would break. But yeah, it doesn't look stable in any case right under it, right? Like the wooden planks, they look like, yeah, I don't know what their purpose is.
I mean, Cats, I'm willing to buy that these are not wooden planks. These are, you know, high-tech. I mean, they don't like quite, they got some coppery color to them. They don't, there's some high-tech material.
I see. Yeah. Quite possible.
And they've been here for eons. And then the move, the hoofs of the, whatever this is called, the Ursa Dak running back and forth over it time after time, little bits of dirt in their hooves, deposit on the bridge, and then plants grow on, then you get that path. So the fact that I mean, we have a story of generations told out in the middle of the map right there, if you care to look. Visual storytelling,
yeah, sure.
Cats. I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of that particular creep as well. Whatever his name is, the Ursa Dak, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big fan. It's one of the cooler looking ones. As there's gonna be some SCVs being pulled just to save the other SCV that was retreating. So definitely, Coffee not wanting to lose any SCVs. I guess that seems like an overreaction to me, but it works out.
Yeah, save your buddy syndrome as Meo. Unfortunate rally there, I guess. 2 overlords, both into the main base of the Terran at the same time. One of them, it's only 1 Marine, so it probably won't go down. But even still, that's a very wounded overlord. It's not going to be able to scout into the main base after that all that easily. So just small mistakes out of Meo. It's not what you'd like to see. Because again, it is important here. Meo has to play, after these first 2 games, Meo has to play so clean. And well, the surprise of absolutely no one, Cats. There's a lair on the way. What's this one going to turn into?
Well, that's definitely looking like Hydras. As if it's a rich one, it's got to be pretty quickly thereafter. But given the gases and the timings and the player, I would imagine it's Hydras. Lynx do have speed, so they're gonna take out the Reaper. That's nice. Extra drones going down, and a hatchery as well. That's more than likely just gonna be used for Larva at the 3rd. And on the other side, we have again a medevac, a couple of Hellions. Is there an armory? I don't see one. So yeah, we'll see what Coffee has prepared here.
I'm willing, Cats. You know, if I was a betting man, I'd say 75% chance that an armory gets dropped down after this. It's worked 2 times in a row. We've got the Hellions on the map. They're now, well, they're getting reactored out here. We got plenty of Marines, medevac on the way. I feel like we're gonna see an armory, but
there it is.
Longer this, yeah, there we go. Armory on the way. So 3 times in a row it's worked, or 2 times in a row it's worked out here. It's a Hydra rush again. It's just gonna be Lings on the map with all these Marines, with all the Hellbats. Coffee's just doing the same thing over and over again. And look, this is not Einstein's definition of insanity. He's expecting the same result.
Yeah, Hydras will be out though for the Hellbat timing, so MeomaikA will have that going for him. On the other side, these Marines shouldn't find too much either, as the Lynx are here to answer. So yeah, I think MeomaikA is in the best position that he's been to hold throughout the series, so maybe he can do it. And if he can, then he can begin to saturate his turn and do something else. Like also there's the Banshee, which is not going to contribute, or the Liberator rather, that's not going to contribute all that much on the side of Coffee, given that there's already Hydras out. So let's see what MeomaikA can do.
You know, I really like the idea of not turning these into Hellbats. With Hellions, of course, you have a longer range, so you can get on top of the Hydras, and well, he's going to morph anyways. And with Marines as well, Hydras on the back are a lot of damage, Cats, but look at the save. They're getting on top of the Hydras a little bit. More damage going to start to arrive, but you're right. This is a much easier hold than it was in the first couple games. He can't get on top of the Hydras. Everything goes down. Now this medevac has to be pretty careful. Hydras don't have speed yet or range. But they're still going to flood onto the other side of the map. Now, the one thing, I think it's a little... You mentioned Meo being able to drone up his 3rd base. Cats, how many Meo games have you seen?
Not all that many.
Meo doesn't drone up his 3rd. He attacks over and over and over again. And honestly, into a Liberator, a couple Hellbats, there are no tanks on the map right now. This is a pretty solid move coming out of Meo. It's not an easy cold for Coffee in the slightest. Yeah, he's got a wall. Hydras, Cats, they shoot over the wall.
Yep, and the Lynx are going to contribute with DPS as well. The Hydras can, if you can deny this CC and drone up your 3rd, I mean, that would be really good, I think. I think overcommitting here might be a little bit too dangerous. The bunker is going to have a lot of repair available, but Coffee doesn't think that it's enough with only 2 Marines in it. And MeomaikA is going to be able to punch on through and actually make it a series, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's funny. We're selling doom and gloom in that last series. Like, in that last game, we're like, oh no, you know, it's Hellbat Marine again. But this time you're right. The Hydras were out. And Coffee, he didn't hit his timing quickly enough. He was maybe a little too greedy on it. And you say, well, he doesn't think the bunker can hold. Okay, sure, true. He was also massively supply blocked. He was, I didn't see what it was at the end. It was a deep red number, though. And then you're a half the supply of your opponent. You're massively supply blocked. You got one bunker. You're not even a tank, because I keep going to the wrong server. That's a hard hold. That's a
Wait,
really...
did I go to the wrong server?
I keep going to the wrong server.
Okay.
I went to
Am
Europe.
I supposed to be in Asia? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we're going back to Korea. I went to Europe, and then I went back to Americas again. And
Nice.
that's not where Game 4 is going to be. We're going to go back to Korea.
Yeah, but that was well done by Mio. That's kind of his bread and butter too. So like as far as the strategy of choice, and it wasn't time to defend the Hellbat aggression. So I feel like Coffee should probably ease out on that now. And yeah, that was solid. That was good. That was what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's one of those things, right, in StarCraft, where your opponent should be allowed to do something weird to you once, and even if it works, they shouldn't be allowed to do it again. It should be within your mindset about where you think things are going to go, and you should be able to pick it up, hold it a little bit better. So it doesn't feel that great for Mio to have lost to it twice in a row, but now he's gotten something working. He's actually found the build, or he's optimized the build in a certain way that he can hold this. And now, well, the shoe's on the other foot. It's time for MeomaikA, or excuse me, for Coffee, to wake up a little bit to figure out what the next version, what the next thing he's going to do is. And you know, Cats, I struggle to believe that Coffee had planned to go Hellbat build 5 times in a row in this series. I feel like he's got something more in store for us.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure he was just trying to abuse his opponent as much as possible because he just kept dying to it. But now that MeomaikA has shown that he can defend it, I think we should see a switch up from Coffee as well. Hey, I have a question on OBS. Ninja, do I mute my mic or do I mute my mic on Discord?
Mute your mic on, well, your mic just muted on Video Ninja. You cannot unmute.
Okay, cool.
Unmute. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, perfect. So if I want to cough, it's Discord that the audience can hear.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Or mute a hardware toggle or something.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And yeah, like the Hydras, you don't really want to keep your Hellbats on Hellion form. Like it would have helped only to retreat, but when they're in Hellion, they just die so fast against Hydras anyway. So
yeah, it's like
Hydras have a little bit higher range too, so it's like engaging is very difficult because you get tag stackable Hellions, they just get clicked and dead right away.
Yeah, that makes sense. The beefiness probably worthwhile. Even still, I mean, Hydraling against that Hellbat timing, we saw how good it was. If you can get it out, it's one of those things that doesn't make sense at first. It's a bunch of light units against Hellbats, but you have range and you have a lot of damage, and it works out very, very nicely. So let's see if Mio can do it again, or whether Coffee is just going to make this a 3-1.
Yeah, the range and damage output makes it very easy to kite the Hellbats. But different game now. In the bottom right-hand side of the map, it is going to be MeomaikA for Team Gosu. Sounds like an anime, but if you Google him, only he pops up.
And the upper left, he is that most beautiful liquid, the drink that sustains us all, and maybe sustaining himself into a 3-1 victory. It's Coffee.
Yeah, he must love coffee, right? Like, that wouldn't even be a question. Like, does he drink coffee? Surely.
I mean, I don't drink coffee.
No, but coffee has to drink coffee, surely.
No, or it could be a mistranslation of stim, you know? Coffee is a stimulant. Marines just, they get hopped up on super space coffee.
I could see it.
I think that's how that works. Of course, the only stimulant, the only thing that you should drink if you're a StarCraft fan and you want to get yourself some your own stim, maybe wake up a little bit better, is Monster Energy. Okay, I'm done.
Like, we're going to say water. But yeah, Monster works too.
Well, Monster's our sponsor, so...
This is true. Water's not our sponsor.
No, but I am a Hydra homie. And we are an Oceanborn. It's an underwater map. So, water's good, Cats. I'm a big fan of water.
Yeah, I hope everyone is. Because otherwise, yeah, we'd all be dead. Wouldn't be good.
Yeah. Well, the interesting talk about things being dead or not dead is that Coffee has changed things up in this game. Number 4, he's going double barracks in the wall. Looks like it's only going to be 3 Reapers as he's getting ready to take that command center. But that's still a lot of pressure. And Meo, again, he's gone pool first here. It's a natural on the hatchery on the low ground, but there's no creep there yet. It's going to be a little bit harder to defend that position. Of course, already Meo's going and putting a creep tumor on the high ground so he can circulate.
Wild.
Sorry?
Oh, man, if that gets picked off. It won't.
Yeah, no, that would have been a big deal. Now, for now, though, the Reaper, again, is just zoning out the natural. And when you go pool first like this, guys, yeah, you get one queen very quickly. Your second queen and your second and your third are a good deal slower. So for now, the Reapers, they're going to try to find their way on the high ground. There are Lings there, and that's going to deny things for the most part. But even still, knocking a Ling down, finding your way into the mineral line. I mean, already here. Oh, Coffee's trapped, though. This is not what you're looking for. If he loses these Reapers, he's going to be very upset, but he's going to lose a drone instead. And he finds his way out. I think. Now, okay, one Reaper should die, but even still, circumnavigates, gets all that damage done. I thought Coffee was in a rough spot, but Meo just didn't zone him out well enough.
Yeah, the queen movement could have been smoother to where they output maybe a little bit more damage. I don't know if it would have been enough to kill the Reapers, but then if you pull drones towards the back end of the engagement, when you know where they're pathing, so if you pull a few drones, kind of like this number that he's pulling back to his natural, behind the mineral line, you can definitely block the Reapers and kill them. So just not opting into it. Obviously, if it fails, then you pull drones for nothing. But I think the reward is worthwhile exploring the possibility. It's very likely that you catch him.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And getting those Reapers down, it means you can take your third base. It means there's less pressure on the map. It means that you're much happier as that Zerg player. But third base will go down. Reapers dive into the main base once again. And against Meo, it's so important that you're just continuously scouting this main base. You want to know what timing the lair is at. You want to know whether he's doing something super crazy, super early. And now the Reapers are going to find a natural. Where are our Lings, cats? They're just not responding. Do we have any on the map? No, they all died.
There's
so
22 in production, though.
Yeah. Totally.
Which I don't know what they're gonna do. This is just wild. I have no idea what these things are meant to. Oh, it's a Baneling bust. Okay. So now we know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a Baneling bust. Oh my God, 3 drones in the short vicinity of time. 4 kills onto that Reaper. That's just a little too wild.
And Meo's, I understand hiding most of your Lings, right? Makes sense. You can show 6 of them to deal with the Reapers. That's not weird. In fact, having no Lings on the map right now, that should trigger more alarm bells than Coffee seeing a couple, you know? So on top of that one, I mean, this wall here, it's a lot beefier than if it was supply depots. Yes, there was that one supply depot in the wall. I don't have a lot of faith in a Baneling bust, but if Coffee's going to move on the map like this, maybe.
I mean, maybe. It's not like the Lynx can even take on those Marines. There's more Marines, or there was more Marines out than Lynx. Now with the next fair bit of Lynx, actually, there is a chance here, which is just insane. So MeomaikA actually stands a chance to crush this and counterattack and then Baneling bust, and it might actually work, which is insane. Can he do it? The Reaper Grenade is fantastic, as Coffee does manage to tuck himself back in. So that's a lot of damage done to MeomaikA's army. That looks like a win for MeomaikA on paper, right? Like he cleans up the army of Coffee, but in reality, I feel like that's pretty good for Coffee, to be honest, because MeomaikA can no longer Baneling bust.
No longer Baneling bust, although in fairness, he does have a lair a lair done right now, so
yeah, that's true.
He was transitioning a little bit, but yeah, you're right. It's a bit rough. Lings on the other side, though, they're gonna try to shut down some of these add-ons at the very least. But I mean, cats, it was a 4x. There are plenty of Marines on the map. Not to worry. It's gonna be okay. Although, do we have a starport yet? No. Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 medevacs on the way.
Yeah, just now medevacs getting started. So if you could bust through, hey, there's not gonna be a lot of healing. But Coffee, you're right. I think he's in a very happy situation. Scans out the main and sees that there's a lair done, so he roughly knows what he's going to be dealing with. And with his third base on the way, with the damage he got done, again, he's going to be pretty happy here, especially because Meo's not droning all that hard. It seems like he wants to go for a Baneling bust anyways. He's got 9... Wait, where are those Banes morph? Back at home? Oh, back at home. Okay, so safety Banes instead. But Coffee's not getting ready to move out. Well, I guess the medevacs are out, so it's a prescient morph.
Yeah, but MeomaikA's looking for an all-in behind it, right? So he wants to do what maybe he wanted to do last time around, where if he crushes the army, he can cross the map, he can make Banelings on the other side, or just whatever remaining Banelings, and try to bust after. So this needs to be a 1-2 punch where he trusts his opponent to mess up in some way, shape, or form, or at least catches him way off guard and off position with these medevacs out on the field. So let's see if MeomaikA can capitalize. For the moment, it doesn't look like he's reacting fast enough to this. As some links now make their way into the main. And that should be enough with the banelings and baneling speed down as well. That is so many units from MeomaikA at this stage in the game. So Coffee should just pick up and go all the way straight back home. I don't think there's much use in sticking around for much longer. He needs to just secure his third and basically not die, and he will win the game.
I mean, if Mio's going to give him a fight like that, though, that's going to be really solid. Onto the high ground. Getting a little greedy now as the medevacs. They get so low, but he gets the queen, so who cares? Now there's no damage on it, and drones go down, lings go down. He scouts the fourth base, but again, I think the key thing, you're right, Cats, is just how many units there are on the map. MeomaikA is only on 45 drones. His economy...
Why is Coffee moving out?
I would have thought seeing that many lings and banes would be a tell.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to threaten the medevacs. So if MeomaikA doesn't counterattack, if he doesn't section off his army and says, okay, I can actually deal with these with much less army than I have here on the ground, and I need to use my army elsewhere, then you know, it's fine. If you're keeping your opponent back with these 4 medevacs, then it's all good. But he shouldn't, right? Like look at how big this army is. I mean, it should be doing something other than just mirroring medevacs.
This is wild from MeomaikA. Not only is he only on 46 drones, he's not droning up all that much. He doesn't have, I mean, he's got Carapace upgrade, but it really doesn't have much upgrades. He took a 4th, fine, okay. He took a 5th as well. Like, he's not droning, but he's expanding like he has actually lost that hatchery. He lost that 5th base. He didn't cancel it, was killed. Meo is showing a big army and a big expand pattern at the same time, and this is just, I mean, I guess this is just kind of a feint, and you want the larva because, again, the queen count is so low, but it's still wild to see this happen. Now, there's going to be the bust attempt.
Jesus.
This Sim City out of Coffee, I mean.
Yeah, beautiful setup. That's very unlikely to work, I'll say, unless the Marines are not microed at all. So, yeah, good splits. I mean, this is probably game ending here, as MeomaikA is not going to even put a dent into Coffee's defense.
I mean, Coffee lost the 4th base.